Do you want to shoot great looking light trails? Stick on and I'll show you how to do it. Hi, my name's Rich Dyson from Edinburgh Photography Workshop, and this is Coffee Break Photography. So today I'm going to talk about how we're going to go about shooting light trails. So light trails, when we get these car headlights and car brake lights coming past the camera, and they form a nice trail just showing you where they've travelled from and going to. Obviously you need to do that at night time, and you can see right now it isn't night time. And that's because before I start shooting, I want to talk about the different phases of the sky as we go from daylight into evening. So right now we're in a phase which is called the golden hour. And the golden hour is when the sun is 6 degrees above the horizon all the way down to 0 degrees. And that's where we get this nice golden light that's just hitting the side of my face right now. It's great for portraits, really good time if you want to start shooting photographing people. We then move into the blue hour. So the blue hour is when the sun goes from 0 degrees to 6 degrees below the horizon. And that's when we get these nice blue colours in the sky as the sun has set. It starts off as a kind of a light purple colour, goes to a light blue colour, then all the way through to a really dark inky blue. And that hour period, that blue hour, is the best time to shoot light trails. And that's because the red brake lights and the white headlights are going to really look nice offset against that inky blue sky. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little process that I've devised just in case it's not busy on the street and we don't have cars coming past us on both sides of the road. So I'll show you how I go about shooting it, and then we're going to head back into the office and I'm going to show you how I go about editing these pictures. So let's head down to Princes Street and let's see how it goes. Hi there, we've just had an amazing sunset over Edinburgh. So I've now come down onto Princes Street where we're going to be now shooting the light trail images. So the key to light trail images is to have traffic coming on both sides. So we'll get brake lights on one side, we'll get headlights on the other side. Now the problem with the location I'm in at the moment is I can't guarantee to have cars coming towards me and away from me at the same time. So I'm going to use a little technique where we're going to take multiple images of light trails and then we're going to join them together later on in Photoshop. Now to get a light trail we want to have an exposure as long as possible, so I'm going to set it to 30 seconds. My ISO is going to be at 100 and then I'm going to adjust the aperture so that my light meter is set to -1. Okay. The reason I shoot at -1 is it brings out some of the darker colours in the sky side of here. I also want to make sure that my camera doesn't move in between exposures. So for these pictures I'm going to be using the app on my mobile phone, which is going to allow me to make sure that I don't press the shutter button and inadvertently move the camera very gently. Even though I'm shooting on a really stable, really strong tripod, I don't have any variance between what the pictures are being taken. I'm also going to be using back button shutter, which if you watch last week's video you'll see how to set that up. And that's again so that the focus point is going to be always on the same position for every single image. So we're going to have any variation between each of the images I'm taking. So let's go ahead and start shooting and I'll tell you the next step. Okay, that's all our light trail images in the bag. I want to do one final picture, and you can see we've got a really nice inky blue sky. So to get the sky picture, I want to get the best quality image I can, because I'm also going to use maybe some of the buildings that we've got on either side of the road in this part of the image. So I'm going to change my aperture to about f11. And because I've got more light coming in now, shooting at f11 instead of f22, which my original shots were taken with for the light trails, I need to make my shutter speed faster in order to rebalance the exposure. So one more shot, I'll just take the image. I'm not too bothered about getting light trails this time, because all I'm going to use for this picture is the sky and the buildings on either side. So let's take the shot and then we'll head down to the office and I'll show you how to join together all of these images to make a fantastic light trail picture. Okay, so we're in the office now after shooting the light trail images on Princes Street in Edinburgh. And you can see I've selected 5 images here on the screen. First one, I quite like the light trail coming on the right hand side. The second image, light trail's pretty good, quite like it, I might use this, I'll see. The third image, this is a light trail I probably prefer a little bit more. I like this movement of the light trail through here and the fact the buses over there. But you can see in this image, the number 63, I don't like these 2 buses on this side. On the next one, 64. Okay, light trails. Maybe I might use them, maybe not. I'm not quite sure. Probably not for this one. And the final one is the picture of the sky. So this is where we're going to use the sky a bit later on. And you can see again these pictures in number 65, image 65 down here. We've got these two buses which I don't want to be in the shot. So I'm going to select number 5, number 3 and number 1. And I'm going to just put a pick marker by pressing the letter P, and it means I can then filter these 3 images down here. So I've now got the 3 images all selected. And if I want to make any changes to these images before I start merging them in Photoshop, I can do this all in one go. So with them all selected, one of the things I like to change with my light trail images is to change the white balance. I'm going to change the white balance to fluorescent. So we've got a really nice kind of darker blue, and fluorescent lights are more like what we have on the streets of Edinburgh, so we're getting a bit better colour as to how we shot the images. So I'm now ready to take these into Photoshop. And we're going to right click on the image and take the option Edit In. But instead of clicking on Edit in Photoshop, which is the usual thing that people may do, we're going to come down to this section which is Open as Layers in Photoshop. And this is going to take a couple of seconds just to take the images out of Lightroom and into Photoshop. While it's doing that, I can talk about what layers are. I'll just click on Photoshop. So you can see down here on the right hand side, the layers are starting to load in. And if you imagine layers as pieces of acetate, so each image is a piece of acetate. And we've now put each of the 3 pieces of acetate on top of each other. And at the moment, what you can see is what's in the content of the top acetate, or the top layer. If I click on this little I button here, that will show you what's below the top layer. So we've now got the light trail on the left hand side. And if I click on the next I, we then go down to the bottom image. Now you can see that there's a slight difference in where the buses were as I move between the two. I don't think there's any difference in the actual image, it's just the buses may have moved slightly. So just to make sure the images haven't moved, I'm going to select all 3 images, go up to the layer menu, and we're going to take the option Align. I'm going to align with the bottom edges. So if there is any discrepancy between the images, this is going to align all 3 of them together. Okay, so we're now going to start changing our images and using the information we've got in the 3 pictures to create our light trail. So the first thing I want to do is to bring the light trails to the front. Now at the moment, like I say, all you're seeing is what's in the top layer. What we can do is to change something called a blending mode. So the blending modes are just here in the layers panel. Click on the button and we've got a number of different options. I'm going to use the one which is here called Lighten. So what Lighten does, as you can see, is it brings all the lightest things in each of the images to the front. So if I click on there, you can now see we've got the light trails from the right hand side, light trails from the left hand side, which all look good. The little problem I've got is it's also brought the lightest sky. So it's the lightest sky from the very first image I took up here, and I want the dark blue inky sky. So we're going to do something a bit different now to bring that dark sky to the front. So the first thing I'm going to do is to create what's called a group. So I'm going to select the 2 images which we have got as light trails. I'm going to click on the group button down here. You can see it's now created a group. If I want to remind myself what's in the group, just double click on the title of it, and we can call this light trail. And click on this little arrow, shows you the 2 layers in between. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is to right click on the group. I'm going to duplicate this group. Okay, and I'll show you why I'm going to duplicate the group in a second. It's quite important. So inside of the duplicated groups, you can see it says light trail copy. I'm going to select these two layers. I'm going to go up to the layer image and we're going to merge the layers. Okay, so this is just going to merge these selected layers. and that they're either one together, and that one layer has now got this light trail on the left hand side, light trail on the right hand side, together as one go. And the reason we've done this is that we want to select the sky, which isn't light trails. So I could go up to the select menu and select sky. And you can see it goes away and has a little think. And it's selected most of the sky. It's got a little problem down here. I'm just going to make my cursor a little bit smaller. Got a little problem down here where it's not selected the sky in this layer bit here, and a little bit of sky over here. So that's one way we could do it. It doesn't work that well. So I'm going to deselect that by pressing Command and D. And instead we're going to use the select option again, but we're going to use a select color range. Okay, so it comes up with this little box here. I want it to keep the thing here at sampled colors, and I'm going to use the option which is quick mask. So I can now go over to the sky, click on the sky with my eyedropper tool, and anything which is white has been selected, anything which is black is not selected, and you see anything in red is not selected, anything which is now the sky color indicated has been selected. So pressing my shift key, you can see it adds a little plus sign to there, and I can add in extra elements of the sky. And all the parts where we weren't selecting before, I can just get those added in, and I think we've got a pretty good selection. Probably just take that element up there. Okay, so we've now got the selection as I wanted it, and I'm going to click on OK. Okay, so that has selected the sky, but I don't want to select the sky. I want to select everything which isn't the sky. So what we can do is come to the select menu, click on inverse, and that has now selected everything which isn't the sky. So you can see the little dotted marching ants have gone around the entire area. So I'm now finished with this group. I don't need to see that group anymore. So click on the light trail copy group, right click, and I'm going to delete the group. It asks if I want to delete just the group or I want to delete the contents as well. So I'm going to delete group and contents. And we're now left with our original image. But as you can see, it's kept the selection inside of here. So that's great. So we've now got everything which is in the sky selected. And I'm going to use an option now which is called a layer mask. So the layer mask is this little button down here, the third one along. If I click on the layer mask, it applies this, and you can see the dark blue sky has come through, and the principal layers are over here where the layer mask is now visible. Anything which is black has been masked out, and that's going to show you what's below the image. So what's below the group is the original image down here. Anything which is white is being taken from these two layers here. So that's great. You can also apply layer mask manually. So I'll make sure that my background colour is, my foreground colour is set to black. If you've got different colours here, just click on this icon here, and you can switch between black and white over there. So you want the top one to be black. Select your brush up here, as you can see it's selected already. You can do that by pressing letter B, and as long as it's black, I can now paint in, for instance, the clock tower. I can paint in the original time, or the time when I had the darkest blue sky, so just before 5 o'clock inside of there. So I've manually added to that layer. So that's really good. I've now got the dark blue sky. I've changed the time in here. The things I don't like though are these two buses down here. I want to get rid of these buses. But if you remember, those buses were on image 63 and image number 65. So I'm going to apply another layer mask. So first of all, to 63, I'm going to apply a layer mask just to the image. So you can see at the moment everything's white, so everything which is in this image is going to be shown, being seen through the layer masks. My foreground colour is still set to black. I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger, and I can now paint in the buses, or paint in black on top of these buses inside of here. So you can see down here in the layer mask, painted black, but the buses haven't disappeared. And the reason they haven't disappeared is because they're also in this layer here. So again, apply another layer mask, paint over these, and this time all the buses have disappeared. So I've now got a really, really nice image. No buses distracting on here, nice shape coming down this way. Everything looks great. Before I take this back into Lightroom, I want to do something called flattening the image. And the reason I'm going to flatten the image is at the moment this image is a really, really large file. You've got 3 images which were around 50 megabytes each, plus 3 layer masks. So that ends up to around 300 megabytes of data in here before we start saving it as a TIFF file and attaching every other type of image to this with there. So go up to the layer menu again and click on flatten image. And as you can see, it's now changed all the layers down into one single layer, which is called background. Let's go to the file menu, click on close, and like on Photoshop, so it will ask if you want to save the image. I do want to save this time. It takes a few seconds to save the image. Once that's done, we'll head into Lightroom. And there you can see we have our edited image with the light trails inside of here. And if you wanted to make any changes now, for instance, we could increase the shadows in here, maybe add a little bit of texture into the image, give it a little bit of clarity, and we've got a really nice shot, 2 sets of light trails, nice blue sky, and it looks totally natural. And there we have it, a great way to photograph and then edit some great looking light trail images. This is one of the techniques that I cover on my night photography workshop here in Edinburgh in Scotland. If you're interested in joining the workshop, go to edinburghphotographyworkshop.com and you'll be able to see all the available dates, and you can book online there. If you've enjoyed this video, it'd be great if you could like it and share it by clicking on the thumbs up button below the video. That way, a few more people will get to see it. You can also subscribe to the channel by clicking on this button here. I send out a monthly newsletter to my subscribers with news about photography as well as exclusive offers. Scan this QR code to sign up. My name is Rich Dyson from Edinburgh Photography Workshop, and this has been Coffee Break Photography. See you next time.